Make sure you subscribe to my channel before we start. I never realized love could fade so quietly. People assume it ends with screaming matches, slammed doors, and dramatic breakdowns. But sometimes it just dies while two people sit at the same table scrolling through their phones like everything is still okay. My name is Daniel. I'm 36, living just outside Denver. I met Leah 5 years ago at a friend's barbecue, back when her laugh still felt real. She was magnetic, sharp, funny, impossible not to notice. That first year together felt like the universe finally aligned. I'd never experienced someone who understood me the way she did. She used to tease me because I cared too much, always calling me an overthinker. Back then, she said it with love. But slowly, that same care became something she used as a joke. It came in tiny moments at first. A sigh, a little jab. And anytime I mentioned how she started canceling plans or spending more nights out than in, she'd laugh and throw back. Relax, Daniel. You're not my warden. I kept defending her behavior in my mind, told myself it was stress, life, work, anything but the truth. We were drifting. The real fracture appeared one Friday night. She came home late reeking of gin and someone else's cologne. I asked if she'd been drinking, and she rolled her eyes like I was a nuisance. God, you sound like my dad. That night, I stared at the ceiling, not jealous, just painfully clear. Something inside us was cracking. Weeks continued like that. Short conversations, forced laughs, silence heavier than words. I tried everything. Dinners, little getaways, even couples therapy. She barely showed up twice before brushing it off. Maybe she had checked out long before I realized it. Then came the night that shifted everything, a random Tuesday. She was sitting on the couch scrolling, smiling at her phone. I asked if she wanted to order dinner. Without even looking up, she said, almost amused, "Funny how you still think we're a couple." I waited for her to say she was kidding, but she didn't. "What does that mean?" I asked. She just shrugged. "We barely talk. We barely touch. You really think this is still a relationship?" Her tone wasn't angry, and that made it hurt deeper. It was casual, like she'd been done for a long time. Something inside me snapped, not with rage, but final acceptance. I walked into our room and started packing her things. Slowly, calmly, no shaking, no yelling. When she walked in confused and asked what I was doing, I zipped the last suitcase. "You said we're not a couple, so your things are packed. You can go." She stared like she didn't think I had it in me. "Daniel, don't be dramatic." "I'm not dramatic." I said, "I'm done." Her face drained. She tried to laugh, but I didn't. I didn't need to. When someone finally accepts reality, there's a peace that settles in. I carried her suitcases to the door. She stood frozen, arms crossed, like she didn't recognize me anymore. "You're really doing this?" "I'm just finishing what you started." She didn't argue. She muttered something and left. That door closing didn't feel painful. It felt like oxygen returning after years of breathing shallow. That night, I sat on the same couch where she told me we weren't a couple. The house felt different, quiet, but not lonely, just peaceful. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel wrong. I just felt free. The next morning was calm in a way I forgot existed. I made coffee, watched the sunrise to the window, and realized peace can feel uncomfortable when you haven't felt it in forever. She texted once. I ignored it. By noon, guilt crept in, that whisper that says maybe I overreacted. But then her words echoed again. "Funny you still think we're a couple." And I realized I wasn't overreacting. I was reacting for the first time. That weekend, I cleaned the house slowly. It felt like reclaiming my space, not out of anger, but acceptance. I found an old note from her inside a photo album. It said, "You make me feel safe." I stared at it before throwing it away gently. Some things are only true for a season. Days later, she texted again, asking to talk. I let her come over. She looked exhausted. She stood on the porch and softly said she didn't mean what she said. I told her she meant it enough to say it out loud. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't angry. I just couldn't pretend anymore. "You really want me to go?" she asked. "I already did," I said. You just didn't notice. She nodded and left quietly. No dramatic ending. Just the truth finally spoken out loud. That night, I drove through the city in the rain, and for the first time in months, I hummed along with the radio. Not happiness, relief. Weeks passed. I rebuilt my life slowly. Gym, old friends, learning how to enjoy quiet without needing someone to fill it. Every day I miss her a little less. Not because she was terrible, but because I realized I don't need someone to validate my worth. Months later, she texted again, "I hope you're okay." I replied, "I am." And that was the final message ever exchanged. I still remember little things sometimes. Her laugh, how she'd tuck her hair behind her ear. But they don't hurt anymore. They just remind me there was a time we both tried, and then one of us stopped. If I learn anything, love can survive distance, time, and even mistakes, but cannot survive mockery. The moment someone starts treating your devotion like a joke, they've already walked away. Now, when I look around my quiet home, I don't see emptiness. I see breathing room, space for peace, space for someone who won't find commitment amusing. Because I didn't kick her out from anger. I finally stopped living like a visitor in my own house. Sometimes the strongest words you'll ever say aren't, "I love you" or "I forgive you." Sometimes they're simply, "Your things are packed. Get out." And when that door closes behind them, what you actually hear is freedom.